With the rising cost of brand new vehicles, they've gone up to $47,000. The average transaction cost means a lot of people are making other decisions. That's right, used vehicles like this are becoming ever more popular, and that's why I continue to drive this vehicle. This is a 2003 Ram. I've talked about this before, but let me share some statistics with you. Let's go for a ride. And so as you see here, this truck does not have any of the latest tech, does not have the large center screen. It has an old CD player, and yes, a very simple set of gauges, and a good old-fashioned automatic transmission. A good old simple truck with a naturally aspirated V8 engine, 4.6 liter. It's got a good old-fashioned automatic transmission. As you see, you have just on the stock right there, as a lot of the manufacturers now are doing the little pop-ups, the center knobs to actually control your gear changes, and that just seems like another recipe for disaster. The reality is a lot of the modern day technology is becoming much more complex, cost prohibitive for a lot of people and a lot of owners to even pay for when it comes time to pay the piper and fix the appropriate vehicle. I mean, it's great when it's brand new and warranty's still around, and that's why people are buying new vehicles. But new vehicle sales are suffering. I mean, with the average new vehicle price, average transaction being around $47,000 right now, it means more and more people are declining that new vehicle. They're driving what they've got. The latest statistic of 12.6 years is the average age of the vehicle on the road today. That's right, as you look along, as these vehicles are all driving down the road, as you see that, no shortages, the average vehicle age is now 12.6 years of age. That means people are keeping them seriously longer than they ever have. As a matter of fact, we take that statistic further, 70% of the vehicles are over 6 years of age. And while we're actually seeing new vehicle sales continue to climb, yes, we're up to about anticipating 16 million units sold statistically this year. And that's up from about 15.6 million last year, and the year before around 13.4 million. And you see the increase, but a lot of that is just because coming out of the pandemic, a lot of vehicle supply was low, and we're starting to get the supply. But also the incentives right now are a big indication or a big driver to why sales are going up. Vehicles aren't cheap, they're not affordable. We're seeing less and less people having enough household income to buy that new vehicle, but instead they're driving their older vehicles, like this old 2003 Ram, a little longer than they might have had in the past. I mean, I just think about 6 or 7 or 8 years ago, which isn't that long ago, a loaded up Dodge Ram 4x4 crew cab with a V8 engine, and you could get that truck all day long for, you know, Canadian dollars, $40,000. And now, pretty much that vehicle, you won't find that type of vehicle for less than about 65, 70 grand here in Canada now. On the US side of the border, it's gonna be probably closer to that 55, 60 grand, but prices have literally gone through the roof. Now you have to ask yourself, why did this all happen? The car prices have all increased at an alarming rate. It far exceeded the inflation rate, which leaves a lot of people scratching their head. How does this even happen? Well, a lot of it is twofold, threefold. You know, we had combinations of UAW strikes. Don't want to blame that. Everybody has a right to earn, and with cost of living increases, everybody needs the regular increase in wages, but that did take a toll. We also talk about some of the CEOs. We see GM and Mary Barra and some of the big players, Ram. No, of course, we see Tim had recently just walked or retired, but a lot of these CEOs are now in recent years accustomed to make well over $30 million a year salaries. But we also we can't forget about the top players at the head table. It's not just the CEO, all the senior executives within these organizations are all getting big paychecks and big raises. And so that money has to come from somewhere. We also can't forget about the increased costs of development of the electric vehicle industry. Now, with the manufacturers being pushed from the governments into creating these vehicles, as a matter of fact, they were saying initially 2025 was the target, then 2030, and now they're saying it might go back as 35 or even 45 or 50 are now further dates that are getting pushed back. The reality is a lot of these OEMs were creating vehicles to match the expectation of the government. But in development of these EVs, a lot of people, these companies were in the hawk for a lot of money. It was cost a lot of cash to develop this. So they weren't selling, and they continue to sell poorly. Although EV sales are slowly increasing year over year, month over month, the fact is the acceleration is slowing down And the other fact of the matter is less and less people seem to be getting on board. It was that inertial jump in, the early adopters were getting on board. But that money for development had to come from somewhere. And it had to come from good old-fashioned internal combustion vehicles like these Rams, like that Jeep, like that Volkswagen, or even like this Nissan beside me right here. I've come across a lot of cases where people have made decisions to buy something a little different, go against the grain, if you will. Some people are either buying their older vehicles, buying used vehicles that they can afford easily. And other people, I've noticed now a few cases where people personally I know, one person, hey buddy, Adam, shout out to you, who's actually gone out and buy the absolute base truck that you can buy. You actually even had to special order it. So Adam went out and bought this F-150, but he basically got the short box, regular cab, rear wheel drive pickup truck that F-150 had available. Yeah, you can't even find those on the lot, but Ford has those available. If you look in their arsenal, he was able to buy this truck basically for relatively cheap. He didn't get all the options, didn't look for all the bling and all the extra features and four-wheel drive and crew cab and the extra tow capacity. He wasn't looking for that. He wanted a pickup truck, but he still got a full-size half-ton truck. It just happened to be very base. I know another gentleman who actually went out just recently, very much requested a special one-off order of a new Ram. That's right, a long box, short cab, regular cab, no extended cab on that, crank windows, if you can believe it, rubber floors and seats. Yes, this individual also specifically went and had to order that and wait to get that vehicle in. So people are doing these things, getting creative. Not everybody wants to buy a 20-year-old vehicle or that 12.5-year-old vehicle. Some people feel that they need something newer, and maybe sometimes their old vehicle is just worn out. So you need other options. You need options, maybe if you need something new because your old vehicle's worn out, you can buy used. There's some quality used vehicles around, or look and get creative. Don't just walk on the lot and look at all of the shiny new vehicles. There are options out there, and I've seen it firsthand where people have gone out and special ordered. Sure, you might have to wait a little bit. The same thing goes for, a great example is that RAV4 Prime that I encountered there the other day, where I went into the showroom and the gentleman put almost $12,000 of extras, and it was just paint protection film and undercoating on the base price of a RAV4 Prime because they're not able to mark up anymore and it's hit a lot of press. So they put on 11,000 and change of paint protection film, and I looked at it and I said, well, what is this? And the gentleman basically said, yeah, I mean, that's what it is. We don't have options. There's only one on the lot, and if you want it, that's kind of what we have to sell it for. That's what management's saying. So the unfortunate part is a lot of these dealers now are doing weird creative things to try to recoup. But you can save yourself that 11 grand. Basically put yourself on a waiting list, wait a year and a half, and that RAV4 Prime shows up at your doorstep and you'll pay the base MSRP. Now, are you gonna get a hard deal? Well, you gotta go in there and sharpen your pencil and try to carve out a deal, but that is what people are having to do now. Wait, be patient. Maybe drive your older vehicle a little longer. Drive this old Ram. Drive your old car, your old Honda Accord, your old Honda Civic. Drive your old Chevy 1500. Maybe it's got 200,000 miles on it, but does it still run? Keep running her. But wait, get on that waiting list. Get your longer lead time vehicles, get them ordered up. Get them the way you want them, but basically what I would suggest, stay away from the extras. Because at the end of the day, we know statistically, and I've talked about this, the average US household income only has about $400 per month available for a car payment. That's right, after you account for food, costs, and housing, the average household only has about $400. And when you think about $400 a month with a couple grand down on a $25,000 vehicle, really all that gets you is about a $25,000 unit. So yeah, you can get the likes of, some of the basic Nissans, the basic Sentra can get you in there, Versas, you can get in maybe some smaller Mitsus, but there aren't many vehicles available. And certainly if you need something for more capacity or bigger, maybe you're a growing family, those little subcompacts may not work for you. So in other words, you may have to start getting creative, and possibly the used market, you can get more bang for the buck. And that's where I've always stood. I've always found a lot more value myself. If I had $50,000 to spend on a vehicle and a new base model F-150 with no trim, and maybe it was two-wheel drive, But I just, you know what? I've often seen more value in going out there and buying a 3-year-old F-150 that has the better engine, the more reliable drivetrain, the 4x4, and some of the other features, and maybe it only has 30,000 miles. That's the angle I've taken, always. I have literally never purchased a new car in my life. I mean, I've purchased it for others who were in a position where they needed a new vehicle. So I've helped them guide through the process. I've gotten some great deals for people, and I've given them all the tips and pointers. And as a matter of fact, shout out to Sean, buddy out there. He's actually currently in the market for a brand new compact pickup truck. He's debating between a Ford Ranger and a brand new Toyota Tacoma. And we're walking through some of the deals, and I'm shedding some of the light as to some of the do's and don'ts, how to, you know, deal with these OEMs, and how to get the best deal, and definitely the best vehicle between the two. So you've got to go in there armed with the information, and most importantly, that's what I'm here for. But realistically, that's why we're seeing more and more older vehicles on the road. And even though with the new vehicles numbers, sales increasing, you've got to remember, all that is people with available cash. We're seeing more incentives popping up, and it's the very incentives that are getting people in the vehicles. Now, these incentives, some are good, some are bad, but incentives of $5,000 down, $7,500 back, cash back, seems like a good deal, but on a Jeep that normally costs 75 grand, isn't all that spectacular. And a lot of these EVs now we're seeing where they're highly incentivized. We know the F-150 Lightning is the best-selling EV truck in the US. It's still not selling all that well, and it's sitting on the lot for a significant amount of time. It's just telling you people are not necessarily ready for electric vehicles. And while I said earlier that they are selling, EVs are selling, and they are increasing in number of sales, it's a very, very slow pace. People still are looking for a good old-fashioned, tried and true internal combustion vehicle. And you generally won't find that on the used car market. A lot of people are a little reluctant to buy that used Tesla. They're seeing the clock is ticking, and they don't have, you know, the lifespan in them that they are hoping. And definitely with the battery life, high insurance costs, for those people looking for an electric vehicle, they in most cases just go brand new. And even watching a little Dave Ramsey there, he quoted some statistics where the average millionaire actually only drives a vehicle that's average about 4 years, has about 40,000 miles, give or take. So it's pretty clear. People that become millionaires by spending their money, it's by saving their money. Now, not everybody is going to have the capacity or even cares to do the hustle to become a millionaire. The point is, though, they do have the money. And that's the point here, is people that are spending a large amount of money on a vehicle, particularly if they don't have it, are just, you know, people that are wasting their money. So absolutely, you know, if you want to buy a new truck, it definitely should fall within your means. And like I said, I've always a believer in just live within your means. If you want a new truck, absolutely do it. But remember, you know, I say, put a minimum 20% down. So if you're talking about that $50,000 truck, put minimum $10,000 down. And then on top of it, hunt for the best deals. Don't take any of the extras. Get the best deal on that price. Take that vehicle, once you take possession, take that out and go to a third party to get your PPF and some extra floor mats. Go third party for that. You'll save a bunch of money. But on top of that, what I would also suggest is don't exceed your monthly car payments, or about 10% of your gross salary income per month. And as well, on top of that, try to keep it within 4 years time frame. Don't take that 84 month. Don't even take that 72 month loan period. That just means you're going to be stuck in that payment for years. And by the time you're ready to, you know, you're finally paying off that loan, the vehicle's virtually worth nothing. So remember the rules of thumb. Try to live within that, and you'll be comfortable. You'll have that extra time. You won't be stuck having to grind out that 24-hour shift like that guy behind the wheel of that truck. You can actually have time to spend time with the family and friends, maybe go on the odd trip, you know, take that vacation you always wanted. You know, some of your little habits, maybe go to a movie on Friday night and take your better other, significant other for a great dinner night, because you're not poor, you're not car poor. That's the point. Live within your means and you'll be just fine. And that's why we're seeing most owners of vehicles these days keeping the average vehicle on the road for at least 12 and a half years. That's all done by keeping the lights on, staying with top maintenance, doing your oil services, doing your brake changes. Instead of trading your vehicle in because it's got a burnt out taillight, you know, fix those little parts, fix the little widgets, keep it running well, and keep it going. I mean, you hear a weird noise, change the wheel bearings. At the end of the day, that's what people are doing now to extend the life of their used vehicle, because A, they don't have the money, or B, they don't want to spend the money. I mean, $80,000, $90,000 on a truck. Did you see the other day my video? $200,000 for a pickup truck? Ouch. So anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this whole conversation. Please do drop a line, and as well, on top of it, check out right there, what's going on? Is Dodge and Ram actually going out of business? Hope to see each and every one in the next one. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.